Canada Powered by Women released new research showing overwhelming support from engaged women for prioritizing Canada's energy and economic independence to strengthen national security and prosperity. The latest survey conducted by Leger shows a significant year-over-year increase in support of these priorities among engaged women across the province. It comes as the national conversation about Canada's ability to withstand tariffs and an uncertain relationship with the U.S. continues to dominate discussion across the country. The survey, representing the views of 6.7 million Canadians, identifies as engaged women, shows 89% support reducing reliance on U.S. trade, while 85% support building pipelines and refining capacity within Canada. We're now joined by the CEO of Canada Powered by Women to discuss the new research. Tracey, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, based on your research, why do you think there is more support from women engaging in the prioritizing of Canada's energy and economic independence?
Well, there's definitely a lot of focus on a national conversation around our economic sovereignty, around tariffs and everything that's been happening from the US. And it's definitely elevating a discussion that engaged women across Canada have been having actually for a couple of years. But now there's a real heightened awareness that we need to do some things differently. And energy is something women are proud of and that we need to be maximizing our responsible development with.
And do you mind breaking down the survey and if there were any qualifications that the surveyed women had to meet?
For sure. The whole concept of an engaged woman is one that's actually somewhat homogenous because women are across the country who are just really curious, super informed. And the characteristics are really about consuming information, taking in the news, really having an active eye on politics and policy, and specifically connecting the dots around a thriving energy sector and a thriving economy.
And how have the responses changed year over year?
Well, what we're seeing right now is there's always been consistent top three priorities, and those have been a successful economy, which is, prosperity and jobs. Then it's been energy security, which is affordable and reliable energy. And the third priority has consistently been the environment and reducing emissions. But what we're seeing now is definitely the economy and energy security is really eclipsing everything else. It doesn't mean that women don't care about the environment, but right now they want balanced policy that's really going to develop our resources so that we can have the kind of security and economic prosperity that women want for themselves and their families, but for Canadians.
And how much do you think that Donald Trump has impacted opinions in Canada?
Well, I definitely think there's been an impact there because there's now a national conversation that's happening about energy that perhaps wasn't happening even 6 months ago, or maybe even 3 months ago. But women have been having this conversation for a while now, but now it's more out in the open and more prominent. And we know too from our research that women are actually proud of our resources and feel that we can export, diversify our markets, and really bring wealth to our country.
Now, with this research being released, do you think that it's going to inspire more women to continue to stay engaged in these topics and inspire them to want to do the research to keep up to date with what's going on?
I definitely think so, but though I can share that our audience has grown significantly over 3 years. So this is not a flavor of the day discussion. It's one that's been happening for a couple years. But I think what engaged women, what will motivate them to be involved and continue to be involved is policymakers listening to what their expectations are for sound energy policy and not just having policy that's aligned with issues, but having policy that actually executes and executes rapidly because engaged women see energy independence and economic independence as urgent.
And what do you think is holding back resource expansion if these projects are broadly accepted and supported?
I think that obviously we're in the middle of an election and there's so much on the radar of all policymakers and parties right now regarding energy policy. And so I would say that right now we just need that conversation to continue. And we're pretty optimistic that whatever government is in place, we're going to see a move towards energy and resource development in Canada.
And how do you think that these views could impact the election?
Well, as far as the election goes, we're just happy that this is a conversation that everybody is having. And so for us, I think the devil's in the details, and women want to understand the specifics of policy. So I think you have to look at the details and understand what aligns with you and what you would like to see for your priorities. We know engaged women's priorities are that they want to see energy independence, and they want to see that basically increase our capacity with infrastructure and also make regulation less complex so we can get these projects going and start developing our resources not responsibly, but also exporting and diversifying our markets with Europe and Asia.
And in regard to energy independence, is there a party leader that's focusing on that a little bit more, that's making these engaged women kind of lead more in that direction?
I think all policy leaders are focusing on energy right now, which is a positive thing. And we're just really happy that that conversation is happening across the board with everyone.
Well, Tracey, thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you.